Pros and cons of immigration. James Talarico takes on some undecided voters. Let's talk about it.
Immigrants make America stronger and richer.
I agree with them. The immigrants make the country stronger. They keep business here because you know that if somebody comes over here that's more qualified and harder working or whatever and works for less money, the businesses are going to stay here as opposed to headquarter elsewhere where it's going to be cheaper for them. So it's easier if they can bring immigrants in and get the best deal for labor. But it doesn't help the native citizen. I always say, look, I'm an American. I enjoy it here, okay? I like football and shit like that. But at the end of the day, bro, I'm 99% sure that my life would have been better if I was just born in India and lived and grew up in India as an Indian person. Because I'm Indian. I'm a minority in this country. It's not sweet, bro. It's not cool. I don't like it. That part's not good. I would have been the man in India. You know what I'm saying? I would have had family dating back to hundreds of years. I'm talking about how would I not have? And I would have been proud of my heritage. I wouldn't have had racist people that didn't like me that made me feel I don't really fuck with America like that. When I'm in India, I'm Indian, bro. I really run that shit. I mean, I don't now because, you know what I mean? I just am not adjusted to that lifestyle or the culture. But I always have that in the back of my head. Would I have liked it better to just live there and grow up there? And I think I would have. And it's kind of weak to leave your country and go try to make a better life for yourself in another country. Why not make your own country better? That's the way I feel about it. That's the way I feel. That's the outlook I have myself. That doesn't mean that immigration's bad. I don't think that. I think there are some cons to immigration in general. But anyway, let's see what James thinks.
Hi, Jade.
Yes, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Let me just lay out what I mean by this because I know it sounds a little controversial. I'm a 8th generation Texan. My family's been here since it was Mexico. My mom actually grew up in Laredo, right on the Texas-Mexico border. I feel like we Texans understand immigration more than people outside of Texas because we live with it every day, the benefits and the challenges. The more I travel the state, the more I've realized that most Texans are in the same spot on this issue. The metaphor I've used is that our southern border should be like our front porch. There should be a giant welcome mat out front and a lock on the door. We can both welcome the stranger, welcome immigrants who want to contribute to this economy, who want to live the American dream, who want to make us stronger and richer, and we can keep people out who mean to do us harm.
He's very political, right? This is not very practical what he's saying. He's just speaking in these I don't even know what to call them, these euphemisms.
I will say what I think not enough Democrats have been willing to say. Joe Biden failed us on our southern border. I remember talking to my colleagues in the Texas legislature who represent border communities. They told me about the utter chaos on the border. And
he's a really good orator. Doesn't mean that he has substance. He doesn't say a lot of ums, no uhs, no, he takes his time, he pauses. He's very clear with what he's saying. Again, I don't see a lot of substance so far.
That failure by Joe Biden paved the way for Donald Trump to come in with masked men in unmarked vehicles, secret police, tearing parents from their children, kidnapping people off the street. I think both parties have failed us on this issue. I think we all should come together and finally pass comprehensive immigration reform, more immigration judges, more border patrol, modernize our ports of entry where most of the fentanyl gets in, reform our asylum system, relieve the visa backlog. We should finally fix this problem instead of grandstanding on it.
I completely agree with you on that. But what I disagree with is the claim that immigrants as a whole are making America stronger.
I think what he just said, what Talarico just did, is he said a whole bunch of stuff that you can't disagree with, right? It sounds really pleasant. We should make this better. Okay, I mean, yes, we should make it better. But, buddy, how? You're not really talking about nothing, bro. You're just saying shit.
I think there is.
And he seems look, this is the thing about politics, right? This is why Trump is so cool a little bit to me. Not that I fucking love his politics. They're okay. And not that I love the racism. I don't love that. And I think there is some of that. And I used to be very, very up in arms about it. But now looking back, it's dude, at least Trump just says shit straight up. He's not sitting here just bullshitting. You know what I mean? You can understand what he's saying. And you can kind of he's talking about stuff very directly and putting it out to lay people. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing this. Love it or hate it. This is what we're doing. And this is what I'm here to do. And a lot of people don't like it, and that's fine. But at least he's got what he's doing on his. He's putting it out there, you know.
It's a lot of nuance that is not.
And look, There's a lot of stuff like the J6 thing, bro. Basically, what he's doing is he's saying we're standing up for the native population here, the white people, right? We're here to represent you, and that's what he's saying. And we can see that, and it's very obvious. Everybody gets it, right? Some people don't like it, some people do like it. I'm neutral on it because at the end of the day, this is a majority white country. It is what it is. So if he's representing the majority, and that's what the democracy is deciding that they want, and they want protectionism, they want to maintain certain things, privileges for certain people, then that's what it is, man. I'm not gonna sit here and argue with that. I used to, but I'm not gonna do that anymore. But with some guys, it seems like they're pawns, and they're getting placed there to be controlled opposition by design of the system, not out of intentionality on their own part. And that's kind of what it seems like with some of these Democratic candidates.
Added to that claim, I think that there are a lot of immigrants, and immigrants are needed in this country. A lot of these immigrants are the ones that are driving America forward. I also think that there are a lot of immigrants who, America is supposed to be a melting pot. America is supposed to have people from everywhere come together. And there's this concept of assimilation where there should be partial assimilation. No one should be forced to completely assimilate and change who they are and change their beliefs to fit in. But at the same time, whenever we have people coming to this country and then going out on the streets yelling that they hate the country, it's counterintuitive, and it really does hurt America as a whole.
Do you know any undocumented immigrants?
No, I do not.
When I was a teacher on the west side of San Antonio, I taught a lot of students who were undocumented. And I don't want to stereotype, but those students tended to be the most patriotic, the hardest working students that I had in the classroom. They understood something about this country that even I, as a native-born American, often take for granted. They believed that this was a land of opportunity, and they were ready to do whatever it took to make it in this country.
Word, I respect that.
And that's what generations of Italian and Irish immigrants did in this country. And I think if we welcome folks who want to contribute, who want to be Americans, it's going to make us stronger and richer because it already has.
All right, pause. You've been voted out by the majority.
Great job. Yeah, so nice to meet you. Immigrants should come here the right way. I agree. The problem is there's not really a right way anymore. There's not even a line that moves at any real pace. There are people who have applied to be here who have waited 20, 30 years. Some people have died before they got a response back. That's not a line. If we want a real line, it has to be a fast-moving line. Okay. We've got to prioritize people who are going to fill the jobs that need to be filled. Okay. And we want to...
Do we, though? Hold on. Does it need to be a fast-moving line? What if the country just doesn't want immigration at all? Real shit. Like, people don't want to talk about that. Like, bro. Now, if you get a job and you get an H-1B or something like that, then you should be at the top of the line. It shouldn't take that long to come here. You know what I mean? If you're qualified. If you're not qualified, then why should we let you in?
As people who are actually claiming asylum and who need safety. Okay. Those are the groups in my mind that need to be prioritized. But we're never going to be able to process those folks unless we have enough immigration judges, unless we have enough border patrol, unless we modernize the ports of entry. 93% of the fentanyl that comes into this country comes through the ports of entry. It doesn't come over the Rio Grande. Right. It comes through the ports. And we don't have the technology or the manpower to detect that fentanyl. So those are the things we have to do. Yeah, please.
Because like I said, this is where it gets really dangerous because that's what we can blow over. Okay, we've identified the problem. The problem is there's not a quote unquote right process. But at that same time, there needs to be some process.
Yeah.
So with the line, what does that process look like? Knowing that there's not a right and a quote unquote right, like what? Okay, so what's the line going to be?
And a lot of the problem is manpower, right? We don't have enough folks in this system who are doing this work. The current administration has grown the size of ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, except it's not people doing immigration and customs enforcement. It is a secret police force that is terrorizing communities.
Low-key true. I think that people need to be deported if they're here undocumentedly. If they're here illegally, they need to go, right? That's just, you got to maintain the laws of the country. But at the same time, ICE is out here doing some vile shit. I've seen some videos that make my stomach turn, man. I can't even lie to you.
In North Texas, there was a mom and dad, the Vargases. They own a dry cleaners. here in Dallas. They're beloved by their customers, by their neighbors. They were dropping their daughter off at Texas Tech University, one of the best universities in the state of Texas. They were on their way back from dropping her off at school. I stopped them, detained them. They are still in a detention center. I do not want my law enforcement or my immigration enforcement officials focused on the Vargases. I want them focused on murderers and rapists and gang members, people who mean to do us harm. When we devote law enforcement resources to going after the Vargases, it makes us all less safe. So I'm just asking for sanity in the system.
All right, pause. You've been voted up.
Fair. I understand what he's saying. But if the Vargases were here illegally, man, I mean, what are you going to do, bro? At the end of the day, I pay taxes. You know what I mean? A lot of people here pay taxes. Some people don't, and they're able to reap the social benefits and use all the, it's mooching a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that's the way you should go about it, but like low-key, the self-deport option, great little built-in by what the Republicans are doing now.
By the majority, please return.
Great job,
to
Lisa.
your seat.
Yeah. Never said that we had an open border policy. I also don't think we should fast track anybody. What I'm trying to do is create a system that works. And when I speak about the failures of both political parties, including my own, it is the failure to pass comprehensive immigration reform. And that's a failure from George W. Bush to Barack Obama to Donald Trump the first time, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump the second time. What I'm saying is we should be going after the cartels, not our communities. We should be hunting down human traffickers, not moms and babies. We should be deporting gang members, not small business owners.
But we did that. So
and I think that was great to have a prioritization in terms of deportation, much better than what we have now.
But when you deported crime or people that were part of cartels, and we were doing that in like the 90s, the early 2000s, you happened to destabilize Central America, which caused an influx of immigration that we've never seen before. So this idea of like, let's knock down doors and come after the cartel.
Bro, but the gangs in Central America are not our responsibility at all. Those countries need to take care of their own stuff. It doesn't work like that. We can't be worried about that. This is that's the thing, bro. That's the thing that the Republicans get. Like I've mentioned, it's tribal warfare, right? I'm not necessarily with the Republican agenda, but one thing they understand is how to run a country. You can't do that. You can't be worried about Central American countries and their well-being. You're talking about America, bro. We live in America. We're here in the United States of America. We're in politics. If you are going to be in politics in the United States of America, you better be looking out for the best interest of the United States of America. Not Bolivia, not Colombia, not Argentina or Venezuela, El Salvador. Who cares? Who cares? This is the United States, brother. We can't have foreign criminals in the country illegally. Get out. Get out, please. Remove them.
I agree with, but I'm confused. You also said we had to do something about people who have been here undocumented.
That's right.
My question is, what does your actual comprehensive policy look like for those people?
There you go. She's asking for the specifics. This guy is a politician, man. He likes to speak in generalities and not upset people, secure the votes. You know what I mean? He's not a solution builder. I mean, he may be, but he's not showing it right now.
Who have been waiting in line.
Yes.
Because we do have a pathway to citizenship through visas.
Yeah, like I said, I want for those that are living in the shadows, I want them to have a pathway. I'm not saying they should jump in front of anybody else. What I'm saying is we have to bring them out of the shadows because it makes us all safer and it makes us more prosperous. But you tell me, this is a conversation. You're much more of an expert in immigration law than I am. So tell me what you think that policy should look like.
I think...
Again, very vague, deflecting, doesn't really have an answer to the question.
If you do what was attempted...
How is she more of a... You're a politician. Immigration law, like how... What?
To do
Bro, you got to have your platform down.
You've been here for...
You got to know what you want to do, man. What are you talking about?
10 years that you were brought as a child and you were enrolled in school. You should have a pathway to citizenship. I do understand the fundamental policy of not breaking up families, but I don't understand how we...
See, but if you make that a pathway, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. If you do that, then people are going to come over here illegally and birth a child and put them in the situation where they have a pathway. And they're going to it's just going to incentivize people to do more illegal shit. I think that if you're here illegally, if you were born here, okay, you're a citizen, right? Isn't that how it works? But if you you know what I mean? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say. This is a very complex topic. I just don't think that you can come here illegally and be rewarded for it. I think that's very damaging to the country at the end of the day. And you got to think about the people that already live here, not everybody else in the world. You know what I mean? The main priority for a politician in American politics should be the United States citizen. It's that simple. Whether you love it or hate it, whether you like America or not. You know what I mean? I don't love everything about America, but I understand one thing is it's a democracy. If you're in politics, you got to represent this country and what it wants. That's the whole point of a democracy. You're going to get elected to represent the values of the people. That's how elections work, or they should work at least. This actually goes back to a Hindu principle of dharma. Whether you agree with it or not, you're going to do your job. It's your role in the society. And that's what's going to push you forward to a more favorable reincarnation and perhaps enlightenment, or which is akin to heaven in Abrahamic religions, right? But you do your job. You do your job. This is a concept my football coach used to teach us. Do your job. Don't worry about what you want, right? It's do your job. And in this case, altruism is not necessarily the job. Altruism outside of the United States, worrying about every other country in the world, that's not the job. Anyway, man, I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe, all right? Peace.